Hello and welcome. I'm delighted today to introduce you to Diane Stanley. So Diane, welcome.
Thank you.
We're excited that you are here to talk about your new book, Resist. Can you give us a peek at it?
Yes.
It looks great. What a fantastic cover. It's amazing.
And on the back are a selection of the people who are in the book.
How many people do you include in this? It's big. It's a lot of people.
There are 21 entries. There are many more people than that.
Right.
Some are, for example, the Hollywood 10.
Sure.
Or, Dolores Huerta and Cesar Chavez and blanking on his name. Anyway, the guy who actually started it should get his credit.
You should get. I was pleased you had Irena Sendler in there.
Irena Sendler, yeah, she's one of the ones that a lot of people don't know about. And
I did know about her because Tova Feldshuh did a one-woman show on Broadway many years ago, and I got to go see it. But what an amazing story. So yeah.
Honestly, she is the one of all the people in this book that I felt like I did not do justice to, because it was impossible to do justice to it in one page. I mean, the story, the excitement and the intensity of the story just goes on and on and on and on. And it's just like chapter 1 and chapter 2 and chapter 3.
Yeah.
And I only have room for chapter 1. So
yeah. The good thing to know is that there are other books that you can find out more about her in. So in fact, there's a really good graphic nonfiction story that's out right now. That's a biography of her. So yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so many good things. What a golden age for nonfiction we're having right now.
Yes.
It just feels that way. And this book is right there. What was the impetus for creating this book? How long have you had this project? Because it takes years, a book. We should point that out.
When did you start? A long time. I would hear like Martin Luther King Day or something like that, and there would be things on the radio or things in the newspaper, and I would think, this is part of a grander whole, and that he lived an ideal that went before him and has continued since, and all the different people who have used nonviolent resistance to make changes for the good in society without harming anyone were countless. And I really wanted to have as much variety as possible. I wanted to have, children and adults. I wanted Americans and people from other countries, people from the past, people from the present, and, people who worked online, like the It Gets Better project. That there are so many ways besides just marching and carrying signs and crowding the streets with people.
That's good too, but yes. Yeah, no, it must have been extremely hard to come up with your final list.
There was a lot of cutting.
Yeah, that must have been brutal.
It was, but there was enough for another book, really.
Sure.
And names just keep coming to me, but there were some. I'll give you an example of one, which was The White Rose, which was a group of students at the University of Munich who were working underground to send out messages to people, anti-Nazi messages. And the problem it was great. It was inspirational. These were kids, but they all died at the end, so it was kind of, I thought maybe not,
Yeah.
A
different book for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you've got 21 in here. You mentioned Irena Sendler was a discovery for a lot. Is there somebody whose story surprised you as you did more research that you thought, oh, this is to make the cut?
Well, I'd have to stop and think about that. Woody Guthrie was one that, I originally thought, there were a number of people, Pete Seeger, I was looking for, and then I found him, and he just kind of felt right. And, the degree to which he sort of went from nothing you know, I mean, he grew up really, really poor, and, you know, he was, you know, thrown out by the Dust Bowl, and, you know, had to go to California, and had no family really looking after him. And he just became such an inspiration to so many people.
Yeah, and he really became the troubadour of the movement.
Yeah.
In different ways. Yeah.
And I like the idea of including artists, because sometimes, and you know, the one thing that probably should have had a central person, and I didn't do it, was someone from the press. Because in every one of these stories, it gets back to, you know, Gandhi is marching and he's got all these people. And if there was no press there, nobody would know about it. And Tank Man, nobody
Oh,
would
yeah.
know.
Tank
You know,
Man.
I mean, it was the people who got that story, and, you know, Jeff Widener hiding the you know, knowing that somebody was gonna come and stop him, taking the film out of the camera, putting it in something, hiding it in the toilet tank of the hotel, putting something else in, taking some pictures. So that's what they got. I mean, that would have been a great story in itself.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the next one, maybe, is the journalists. I'm sure you've seen the thing. It's like, first they came for the journalists, after that we don't know what happened.
Yeah, that is a great line.
Yeah. So there's so much in here, and I love how you do have a lot of people who are young, and it tells a story, a compelling story to kids that, you know, you can affect change, which is good for them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, and there are more stories. I mean, there's 2 in the introduction, and then there's, you know, another one in the afterword about the 2 little sisters from Bali who, you know, saw all this trash on their beautiful, beautiful island and decided, and they were like 10 and 12 years old, and they spent like 5 years, and they gathered their friends, and, you know, now they're not, you know, there are no plastic shopping bags on the island of Bali. You know, they made a change, and it has spread through the internet. There are, you know, other organizations like that in other countries, so
Yeah,
it's gonna make a difference too.
Story. And where did you find that? How did that come to your attention?
I did a lot of trolling on the internet, and they came up, and I mean, there's some of them like the tree sitters in Puoria, who, I mean, they're not well known.
Yeah, that story was fascinating. Tell us about that.
And, you know, but it was wonderful because it was simple, it was effective, it made a change, and, you know, they just hung around in the trees until
And the nice thing is that shows off the geographic diversity you have in this book. I mean,
yeah.
it really is all over the world and throughout time, which can be used in so many different ways. So let's talk about how social studies teachers might use your book. What are some suggestions you might have for them?
Oh gosh, you know, I am not a teacher. I mean, I am in a way, you know, I'm a parent, and in many ways I'm teaching through my books, but there is a really fine teacher's guide on my website.
See, this was the opportunity to say that. Yay! Good teacher's guide on the internet.
Really good. And
in fact, we'll make sure it's in our resource section. So take a look there, folks.
And it's got, you know, projects that you can do and questions to ask.
Yeah, one that just occurred to me was, you know, who would you add, and then having the kids do their own project.
That's a great one.
Yeah, adding to the book, because, you know, and it doesn't have to be somebody famous.
John Lewis, you know, I'm really sorry he's not in there. Black Lives Matter, I'm sorry that's not in there.
Well, timing, right? It's I'm sure the book was already well on its way to becoming when that whole.
I actually had John Lewis in there, you know, talking about the Freedom Riders, and again I took it out because it was so violent, and it was a little bit amorphous. You know, there were a lot of people, there were a lot of different freedom rides, and so I went with the lunch counter sitters instead.
Yeah, I saw that, and of course, I'm in Nashville, so I thought we had lunch counter sitters, including John Lewis here. But but that story is told, and the great thing about John Lewis is his story is also out there. I mean, Thank You March, which won the National Book Award. So if you want to learn more about John Lewis, lots of ways to do it. But there's Tree Sitters. This is the book for you.
Yeah.
So there you go. Well, thank you so much for taking some time out of your schedule to talk with us today. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you want to make sure people know about this book before we let you go? And anything exists?
Gosh, I don't know. You know, it was interesting when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, and you know, so much of the focus on her in contemporary times was on her role in the Supreme Court.
Right.
But this is about her young self, and you know, the work she did, and the fact that she brought these cases that benefited men. And you'd say, you know, why is that? And it's because she wanted to make the point that everyone is equal under the law. And you can't, if you allow discrimination against men, then you're opening the door for discrimination against women. And, you know, they were very, very carefully chosen and very wisely chosen. They're just all such great stories. And it was just such a pleasure for me to do this book.
Well, it's a pleasure to read it and to enjoy your beautiful art. We didn't really talk about that, but it's amazing. So you just want to just luxuriate in every page. So thank you so much for being in this book with us, and have a great rest of your day.
Okay, and have a great convention.
Thank you.
Okay.